Hello everyone, my name is Air Angel. Welcome to the Air Show, aka the Vroom Vroom Broadcast unofficial title. Today we are playing Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening on the Switch. That came out in September of 2019. We're going to be doing any percent glitchless today. As you can see, I started a timer counting down from a minute. And so what this does is going to help us manipulate the pseudo RNG that comes in this game with one of the gaming patterns that we have to know in order to defeat the final boss. So pretty much determining the pattern ahead of time so we don't have to do a bunch of extra quests, and I will probably get into more of that a little bit later. But yes, this is the very, very awesome opening screen. I love the music so very much in this game. The composer was also the same composer for a lot of other games like Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Triforce Heroes, Link Between Worlds, and I think Super Mario Galaxy 2. Very, very talented. So the game starts with Link waking up in bed at Terran's house with his daughter Marin. Apparently he was in a big old storm on the seas and his boat got destroyed, and he washed ashore to this island of Koholint. We will be seeing Marin and Terran again. So right now, we took our shield that Terran has so graciously picked up from the beach for us, but not our sword. So we need to go get our sword on the beach. And we also encounter the owl for the first time. So pretty much the owl tells us a few things throughout our journey. Main key points as to like what dungeons to go to, as well as what is going on in general. I believe there he told us we had to go to the woods / forest in the back. And by the way, we are playing this in German. German has less text boxes and is overall faster, like the fastest language for this particular version. Apparently Japanese is actually one of the slowest languages. I know a lot of speedrunners automatically almost assume it's going to be Japanese, but not this time. So here's the owl again. So the first part of our sequence, we have to go on a fetch quest or two in order to start our journey and go into certain dungeons. We can't do that unless we do this very first part. So we will be coming back to this part of the cave. There are certain points along the way where you need to pick up rupees to buy things, or use the trendy game, which is coming up relatively soon. So if you haven't played this game before, if you want to sort of evade enemies, if they hit you, they have like a recoil backwards, so that will also give you time to hit them back. Registered there. So we picked up the mushroom. We're going to the witch's hut after we grab these rupees in this chest right here. So there are really only two big rupee pickups. There's going to be this one, and then in another dungeon we're going to be picking up 300 for something different. And also, another reason why I run this game is because I really enjoy this art style. So the developers of this game were obviously Nintendo, and Grezzo, and Grezzo did 3D games like the 3D Ocarina of Time, 3D Majora's Mask, and Luigi's Mansion 3DS. But the artist of this game, the art lead, was in pretty much all the art departments with Grezzo, and then this was one of their first times, I believe, that they became the art lead of it, so that's pretty cool. This is probably one of my most favorite remakes of a game that I've ever played. I've played the original Link's Awakening as well as the DX version, and I really, really enjoy all of them, but this one's pretty solid. So what we did there was we went to the witch's hut to trade the mushroom for some magic powder to help Terran out because he turned himself into a raccoon of sorts. So behind this first chest is going to be the tail key, and the tail key is going to be for our first dungeon. And here's another owl scene, basically telling us where we need to go. And they also mention the windfish, like what's going on. Well, I don't think they tell you what's going on completely yet, but they keep alluding to this windfish, and we're trying to figure out what's going on with it. So before we go to Dungeon 1, we are actually going to go to Trendy Game and do some trade/fetch quests. So, Trendy Game Boss, let's see if we can do it first try. I only say Trendy Game Boss because you can put the claw in the most opportune place and it will still not work. And also here's one of our first cameos is Yoshi. Though the mushrooms that Terran was picking up in the back kind of looked like the mushrooms from Super Mario. See, you would think I wouldn't have been able to get this, but I got it. Also, the Yoshi doll can land on the conveyor belt sideways with its head facing forward, and it won't move through the belt because it got stuck on the wood piece in the top. So, it's just not great. So that kid pretty much just told us that his mom's been looking for that Yoshi doll, and we better go give it to her. So let's go give her the Yoshi doll for all the children that she has. And also those kids end up breaking the fourth wall a good bit. Like, they'll explain game mechanics and like how to save and stuff, but they will admit that they don't understand why they're giving this advice, so it's kind of funny. So we traded the Yoshi doll, and now we're given Bo. And it just so happens that this tiny little Bow Wow, aka Chomp from the Mario series, that they wanted jewelries, accessory, anything, so we gave him a bow, and we got a can of dog food, which we will be using later. So after we do all that, we're going to Dungeon 1. Get to enjoy the Dungeon 1 opening sequence. So there are 8 dungeons in the game, and one sort of like mini dungeon that we're going to be doing after Dungeon 1. Not all of them require keys, but most of them require something very specific in order to get to the dungeon if they don't require a key. I love this dungeon music so much. Oh, getting booped. Most of the dungeon pickups that you're gonna see today are keys, of course, and oh, just gonna fall. Keys and extra items like power bracelets, the feather, which we're going to grab right now, so we will be able to jump in the game. which is very necessary. So you can one hit these guys right here, but you could also sword slash them. Either 2 regular strikes or 1 sword slash. Or 1 powder drop. I'm gonna skirt by these little guys right here. And now we're gonna be using one of the biggest game mechanics that's really easy for speedrunners to use. It's the auto load feature. Not save, auto load. So basically what that does is it brings you to the front of the dungeon. And you have all the items that you received so far in the dungeon, like keys, and like we just got the feather, but it pretty much resets the dungeon as well. If you flipped any switches or anything like that, all of that's probably equip the feather. All the switches are pretty much reset if you do that. If you wanted to go to the front of the dungeon without doing that, and without resetting the switches, you could also play a song that we'll get later that will also bring you to the front of the dungeon. So I'll show you guys that later, though we won't, or I'll talk about it later, we won't be using it though. Oh, getting hit. And the jumping animation sounds are really cute as well. So, as per tradition of Zelda or Legend of Zelda games, we have to get the boss key, so we finally got the boss key and all the keys necessary to get there. We're gonna head there right now. This is our first mini-boss. There's a lot of ways that you can tackle this. I'm just going to pretty much sword slash him. But there's also a trick that I briefly did one time there. If you jump and repeatedly hit the sword attack button, you can attack forward and not get pushed back. So if you just regular slash an enemy, you will be recoiled backwards. I'll probably be using this with a couple of other enemies. So, good old Moldorm, aka Trolldorm. Just how the normal mechanics of any Moldorm work for boss battles. Missed the first strike. Oh. Alright, not perfect, but got the job done. And I also found the boss battles in this game, for the most part, were more, they were a lot easier than they were in the DX version, but they're also a little bit different for some of them. Some of them are still very difficult. But this is our first instrument of the Sirens. It's called the Moon Cello. And I believe when we get out of this dungeon, the owl goes a little bit more into like what's going on, but for translation purposes, basically Colin Island is guarded by a whale-like deity called the Windfish, and they are searching for, well, we have to get 8 instruments that will awaken the sleeping Windfish in order for us to get off the island. That's pretty much the main goal, is go to all 8 dungeons, get all 8 of the instruments, and then get off the island. So before we go back into the woods, we're gonna go to the beach for a second and talk to this alligator and trade him some dog food for some bananas that we will need later. He eats the whole can. At least he's satisfied, I guess. And I'm pretty sure he's like, can I please have the dog food or else he'll go crazy or something like that. He's pretty desperate for that dog food. Glad we could satisfy his craving. So these kids are freaking out. Basically, someone has kidnapped Bow Wow, aka Chomp, from the Mario series, and now we have to go rescue Bow Wow and bring them back. But with this part of a quest, we are actually going to use Bow Wow to get into another dungeon. So again, we don't necessarily need keys for all the dungeons, but we need certain items or abilities. And in this instance, we need Bow Wow to help us get through a swamp. Yeah, so jump slash is a big thing in this game. We skip the heart. The heart container pickups are at the end of all the dungeons, and those are the only pickups that we're going to be getting. So here's the main leader that stole Bow Wow. There is a way to do this fight. Dang it. If you're not close enough to the wall, they obviously stop and you can't get anything. But there is a way to defeat the boss in one boss hitting the wall sequence. We got Bow Wow, and I believe the text is just like, he's a beast, or what a wonderful beast or something. And he also hops around, and you'll see in a moment that he actually helps us chomp through some enemies. Another owl scene basically telling us to go to the swamp, I think. A little hop. Yep, so Bow Wow's hungry for eating bad guys. Also, Bow Wow also helps you look for shells and where to dig as well. That's something to keep in mind if you're looking for seashells. But yeah, Bow Wow chomps through these flowers that are going to allow us to go into D2. There's a really cool strat with this, if you end up getting the bow earlier, that you can shoot a single arrow and pretty much plow through those two skeletons at the same time, but we're not grabbing the bow early right now. So just a little deflect and grabbed key. Another cameo right here is little Shy Guys that mimic your moves. The dungeons at the very beginning are pretty straightforward, little puzzles like that. What I also really love is this like two-dimensional platforming style that we have like outside of an open map. So with this mini boss, we're gonna try to do the jump slash I mentioned before. And that way, if you just do a regular slash or a spin slash, it can be recoiled backwards. Not really gonna be able to continue to like slash forwards unless you move. So right there, that just fell in the hole. That's called a piece of power. Really, really great to have right before boss battles. And there's also a number of times or the number of enemies you defeat, I think, adds to your counter for that and the Guardian Acorn. We got a bracelet that allows us to lift pots and mash pots. So some runners actually count how many enemies they defeat in order to get the piece of power right before boss battles and stuff. Oh, stop. Oh. Yep, there's the falling animation if you ever wanted to know what that looked like. So this room, you have to hit the enemies in a certain order, or else the chest won't appear. We got the boss key, now we're headed over to the boss. And after we defeat mini-bosses, there are portals that end up in the mini-boss room that we can choose to load back into from the beginning of the dungeon, which is also nice. We're not going to use it in this dungeon, but in next ones. Showing off our picking up bottle skills. Flag. We're gonna do a little jump here that saves us like 2 seconds. But we made it on. If you also jump, touch the ledge and fall, you still end up in front of the door as well. But this, the most annoying boss, just because it takes a little bit. You can't really do anything for a while. So it throws fireballs at us. This is the genie. We can't attack it right now. But after it throws fireballs, it's gonna do that. I'm gonna slash it. It's gonna tell me that you can't break my bottle, or I'm impenetrable in this thing, and then we're like, okay, well, we'll just throw the bottle at the wall. That's fine. Basically, we have to do this 3 times. But yeah, we have to wait to break the bottle if we can't hit him right away. So now he's free of the bottle. He goes around in circles and you have to figure out which one it is. One of my friends told me the other day that it's actually the closest one to the wall, and you can hit him like I just did right there, sooner before he releases the fireball. So you can get 2 cycles on this. I didn't get 2 cycles this time. We're gonna get our hurt container, and then picking up the second instrument, Conch horn. So shiny. So now it's kind of sort of telling us where the next dungeon is. But before we go there, we actually have to do part of our fetch quests. We have to return Bow Wow. And we have to take on another quest in order to get the key to the third dungeon. Now we can pick up rocks and throw them. So first we're gonna return Bow Wow. And our reward is interesting. We get kisses. And we blush. And we leave immediately. Avoiding that situation altogether. Alright, so we are first gonna buy some bombs. And then we are going to steal some things. Oh, I need those. Alright, first item stolen is the shovel. But every time you go back to the shop and you stole something, we pay the ultimate price, which means we die. But after we die and we're resurrected, it's like nothing happened and we can come back and steal the bow. So basically we have all the things that we need. We're not going to be going back to the shop, or else we die again. I just opened up a warp point. There are multiple warp points throughout this whole map. Easy fast travel. I'm gonna do a little strat called bomb arrows. Basically all you have to do is hit the bombs and the arrows at the exact same time, and it creates a projectile, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, warp points are going to be used a lot. And this is Kiki. We gave Kiki some bananas, and in return, their friends are going to help us build a bridge. So like $1's worth of bananas gets us access to the castle. But this is the fetch quest I was talking about. We actually didn't accept the fetch quest, but if we get all the items, we're gonna go back, accept it, and then show up with all the items right away. Saves some time. You don't have to keep going back and forth. There's some Goombas. Another cameo we're not gonna see is Kirby also shows up in the game, but it's in Dungeon 7, I believe, but we don't go to that part of the dungeon, so we won't be seeing Kirby. So right there is a Guardian Acorn. We're not gonna be picking it up because it's a bit of a waste of time for us. But basically it's enemies do less damage to you. The piece of power gives you more power in your attack, and acorns protect you. In efforts to conserve my arrows, I'm gonna just sword slash these, even though it's wasted some time. But yeah, we're picking up these golden feathers for somebody throughout the castle that won't go back to the castle because enemies decided to take it over. So we have to help. So basically just open the doors of the castle, so when we're done with this, we can just walk right out. Nice, instead of having to go across the bridge and stuff. This is the Han Solo room. Alright, didn't do that strat, but that's okay. We have 2 more leaves. Or feathers, sorry. Golden feathers. Leaves. Yeah, 2 more golden feathers. So for this little guy, I would suggest jump slashing as much as you can. You'd also just slash him over and over. But it's like 9 or 10 hits. And basically that's it. Excuse me. I'm pretty sick, so. Alright, so 1 more golden feather. Just gonna get rid of these guys. So we're gonna use our bomb arrow strats here. Nope. Dang it. So that's 1 hit. You have to hit him 3 times, which I am not currently doing. 1 more time. So it kind of sucks we wasted a bunch of arrows, but we'll deal with that later. Never know what's gonna happen in marathons, so just keep going. So it's time to return these golden feathers and go get our key to Dungeon 3. So this is Richard. This is actually another cameo from, this is Richard from the game The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls, apparently. That's why there's all those frogs in there, probably. Go figure. I didn't know that that was a cameo until I looked it up a bit later. And that also explains the frogs. So this is normally a maze, but pretty much we just bypass the whole maze part, and we just jump diagonally to where we want to go. So open Dungeon 3. I really enjoy the water right here. I love all the art in this, but particularly the water's very shiny and very, very specific. All the different shades of water, waves. So these little bomb guys, if they run into anything, they explode, and if they don't run into anything, they just bounce around a few times on the walls. The same dynamics, just kill rooms, pretty much. These are little conveyor belt things. So just kind of have to jump around it. So coming up are the famous Dodongos. They look really interesting in this version. But basically, to defeat these, you just have to put bombs in their mouths and they explode from the inside. So just giving them some spicy meatballs. Oh, and we don't take it. One awesome thing about bombs in this game is that you can stop it from exploding just by picking it up. It doesn't automatically explode. And finally, the run's gonna be a little bit more faster, because now we have Pegasus boots. Pegasus boots are always nice. And now we get to pop these little balloon tent looking things. Save arrows, I'm just gonna put a bomb there. Oh. Log to the bonk. The first bonk and we just got our Pegasus boots. Professional. Alright, so we have the boss key, but we actually need 3 more keys, so let's go get them. There is a strat for this room, you could just bomb arrow, but I'm trying to conserve them as much as I can. So we're gonna grab the key and then we're gonna auto-load to the front of the dungeon. The reason why we do that is we're grabbing a chest in here that contains 300 rupees. We will need those later. Sometime after Dungeon 6 for a song. And this is the fastest way to get 300 rupees, so I'm gonna just do it now. Basically, you have to kill a few enemies just to get the chest. And we're gonna auto-load after and grab 2 more keys. And that enemy, if it, I guess you could call it that, is like a black hole. It pretty much, or I guess is it the, yeah. It pushes you toward it and away from it so you could fall into holes and stuff. I really love the running animation as well as the sounds. It's pretty adorable. Alright, didn't do that fast enough. And also, you can sort of warm up your run by looking another direction, and then by the time Link is ready to move, you can move. We use all of our keys to open this passage. And this also allows us to do long jumps like we did when we got the when we got the nightmare key. Grab the hearts. Just jump through the conveyor belt. And so this is the boss of Dungeon 3. Pretty much says you're never gonna find me, but turns out they're on the ceiling. This is Gigazol, or Giant Eye, that's translated in German, but in the English version it's Slime Eye. There's also a strat. There's also a strat for this boss that I didn't do this time. I didn't really position myself very well. Is that you can dash into them multiple times, and it's quicker to do that. That would be the quick kill sequence for this instead of slashing each eye 4 times. We got the Sea Lily Bell. So now it's telling us to go to a waterfall. But before we go to the waterfall, we have to do a couple things. Well, for one, we have to get the key for Dungeon 4. In order to get the key, we need to talk to Marin. And we also need to trigger the sequence that lets us talk to Marin about it. So we're gonna head to Animal Village. After I turn on this warp point that we'll be using later. So warp points can be on platforms or dig spots. And for running as well, you can sort of shift with your analog stick left and right and kind of sort of drift a little bit. They don't have to keep starting and restopping if you want to change direction, but not a whole lot. So kind of like right there, I drifted a little bit to the left. So by talking to the walrus, you can see the little icon for Marin shows up. That means we need Marin to wake up the walrus. So now let's go get... Well, first we're gonna go get the ocarina. It acts as our instrument for songs. And we will... Well, we'll be getting one shortly. We're going into, I think it's like the Dream Cave or something like that. So, basically, I don't think you can completely get through this without... No, you can't. You can't complete this part without Pegasus boots or a sword. Because you have to slash through those enemies as well as that last little tent pop. Now that we have the ocarina, we are going to go on a date with our girl, Marin. I love her so much. Pretty sure that's why I play this game over and over. Just so I can talk to her. Just kidding. I actually really like the game, but... Oh, bonk. But she's really cute. Definitely someone I really want to cosplay in the future. So, and also if you steal in this game, by the way, they don't call you by the name that you put in the beginning. They call you Thief. And pretty much Thief in all caps. So basically she's just saying that she wants to talk to us. She's wondering where the palm trees come from, or where like the seagulls go. And she also says that if she were a seagull, she would leave and travel across the sea kind of thing. But she's definitely wondering like what's going on. Right there, she just asked us if we were listening. and we tell her we were listening. And she's like, I want to know everything about you. And now she realizes that we need her to help us move the walrus out of the way. So we're gonna go talk to the walrus. While Marin follows us, you don't have to worry about how fast you go, because she can run and jump and all that other stuff that we can do. She's so cute. Zudolf. Her running animation is really cute too, because her hair like blows in the wind. Alright, so we're gonna talk to the walrus, and she's gonna sing for him. So the animals at Animal Village want to go hang out with her. We'll talk to her in a minute, but we are going to go grab the fish key. And in order to do that, we gotta delete. Yes, we gotta delete him. No. We have to defeat this enemy. There is a strat to do this with bomb arrows, but again, I'm gonna be conserving my arrows because I sort of messed up at the beginning. The thing you want to be careful with this is you can't fall in the hole. or if the key falls in the hole. If the key falls in the hole, you have to fall in the hole and go after it. It's a little bit of a slow boss fight, but it's alright. The biggest struggle a lot of times is just getting the key to register to like press A to take it. But now we have the fish key, and we are gonna go talk to Marin after this owl sequence little scene. We can hang out with her for a little bit. Get your dancing shoes on. And all the animals are so enamored with her. I love it. So beautiful. Love her. And she asked us if we remembered it, and we said yes, so now we have Marin's song. And she also tells us to not forget her. I'll never forget you, Marin. I love you. Alright. So now we are off to Dungeon 4. But first we have to open the dungeon a little bit of ways from it, and then we actually get to enter the dungeon. So that was the waypoint that we opened at the very start, or not the very start, after Dungeon 2. So very useful to open it beforehand. Oh. Casually almost dying. That's fine. Really nice opening Dungeon 4 sequence. Interesting face. And also to note, the Zoras in this actually try to attack you and throw fireballs at you, so they're not very nice. We're going through the Telltale mountain range to get there. We're going to be going through this mountain range a couple times. And this dungeon will also tell us if we did our manipulation correctly at the very beginning of the game as well. Because it gives you a certain code to open an area to get the dungeon key. And the dungeon key code is pretty much correlated to what seed we'll get for the final boss room. In order, well, the pathway to get to the final boss is linked with Dungeon 4's code. Gonna pick up a couple keys. Gonna warp to the beginning and then go to the right instead of up. Getting smacked around. Okay, so we ended up with a piece of power, so I guess you get to see what that looks like. It's basically just that. We just get this red cloud aura thing. And now we can single kill a couple enemies. Oh, and we picked up the acorn. The falling in the water animation in this is terrifying, by the way. Oh, messed up my cool jump. Okay. Hoping we don't have to listen to the drowning sequence, but you never know. Oh, never mind. You guys get to listen to it. Oh, you get to listen to it twice. Yeah, it's terrifying and not great. Third time. Oh, look how horrible this sound is. Does it 3 times. So we got the final key we need before we can go to the mini boss. Gonna pick up that heart. Oh, that didn't work. I'm gonna pick up another heart just in case, because this boss tends to run into you as well. So basically we have to hit the backside of him. Oh. Miss. So if you dash and if you dash into the back of him, that's more of a stronger attack than just slashing him, but not a great battle, but same. You could also shoot arrows on the back of it. So if our tile is upright, that means we have seed 24, which is what I was going for. Yep. So I don't have to jump on the tiles to see what the code is, because that's the only seed that will correlate with that, with the amount of timing that we did. There are, I think, over 100 seeds that are recorded depending on when you turn on your console and when it loads the game and etc. If you want to know those times and how to do that, if you want to just join the Link's Awakening Discord, we've got all that information in there as well. It's a pretty detailed document. So we grabbed the flippers, and we're actually going to grab the boss key, and then we're going to head out and then come back. So we pretty much just dipped this dungeon, and the reason why we did that is if you complete Dungeon 4 and walk outside of the dungeon a little bit further than I just did, you actually end up meeting a ghost. And there's this whole other quest that you have to do with the ghost, and by doing this, by double dipping the dungeon and then teleporting, we skip that. So, one of the best songs in the game, got Mambo song, so now we get fast travel. So now we can officially fast travel and swim. So we can go to the warp points, and before we go to Dungeon 5, we actually grab the key for Dungeon 6. It's right there next to Dungeon 5 and it's easy to grab. So this is just pretty easy, it's just a little maze to grab the face key. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had a bit of a coughing fit, so I had to mute my mic. So we got the base key, and now we're in dungeon 5. So basically this dungeon, along with keys that we need to get to open doors, we also have to defeat this one mini-boss 4 times in order to get through the dungeon and get the dungeon item that we need. And this is also where the auto load really helps, so you don't have to keep going back through the dungeon over and over again, because we're going to be entering the same rooms pretty frequently. So this is 1 of 4. So basically just strike when he's warming up and explode. So with this part, you can reset the blocks just by going to the next screen. Pretty much every room resets if you do that. So if you mess up, just go back on a different screen. And in the English translation, he's just like, "I'm out of here." I'm gonna go grab a bomb pickup here. Bonk. So this is the 3rd of the 4th one. So pretty much as soon as you can put the bomb down, the faster it'll go. And we're gonna load back and then get the last one and also our dungeon item. Not safe. Damage boost, boys and girls. Damage boost. Also, the bomb radius for this is actually pretty big, so just be careful because it's quite dangerous. So our dungeon item this time is the hookshot. And before we go to the boss, we need to obviously go get the dungeon keys, so we're gonna do that now. And you can only get the dungeon key with the hookshot as well. So don't come down here until you have it. I definitely have not done that. No, I have not. Yes, I have. Excuse me. Alright, so we're gonna auto-load for the last time in this dungeon, and we are going to the boss. There is gonna be a sort of a trick that we're gonna be doing to get to the boss that helps us skip a couple rooms and a couple keys. It's called skewing. Let me grab these. It's not a glitch. It's just a trick, I guess. It's just a skewing trick. Obviously, this is glitchless, so wouldn't allow it if it was. Oh, and also the anti-fairies. If you're short on health, just powder the anti-fairies like I did just now, and you get full health. See how many times it takes for me to get this? Basically, you have to just get the right angle. That's not gonna work. Alright, that's gonna work, but I was too close. Yep, there we go. Yep, that basically skipped a whole room and a whole key sequence kind of thing. So this is the slime eel. It's kind of RNG based, I think. It's a little difficult. But basically, you have to pull him out with your hookshot and smash his vulnerable part. That was not great. Unlucky. So, right there it had like kind of beady eyes. That means it was fake. Oh, hello. Alright, gonna lose some time here, but okay. And we're off to grab our 5th instrument. Wind marimba. So basically it told us to go to the shrine, but we already went to the face shrine to pick up the keys, so we're just going to directly to E6. Hello? So we're gonna open Dungeon 6. This dungeon is really interesting. There's a few different dynamics and mechanics of this dungeon that are unique to it. There's a little bit something different at you. It's also nice because there's a good amount of bomb and arrow pickup, so I'm not going to be super worried about how many I have right now. Oh, faced the wrong way. These bomb arrow strats here. I usually get 3 at once, but it's okay. So we get another power bracelet, but this one says it'll make you so strong you can lift an elephant. And what do? We lift an elephant. You could use an arrow there, but for the sake of saving arrows, we're not. And these doors have pots on them, obviously. We've seen them before, so you have to smash it with a pot. So our running movement stops as soon as we do a screen transition, by the way, so you can't continuously run. I just froze those guys there so it's easier to hit with a bomb. There's also a strat if you go to the back of the room, you could use a bomb arrow against that anti-fairy right there. A little tricky, but pretty cool to watch. Just didn't do that yet because I need to save that one arrow for later on. Famous tile room. It's always the same set pattern, so you can slash if you want. We're on our way first to a mini boss. Oops. Come on. Basically, the only way you can hurt this mini boss is to hit him with this ball. 4 times. And before we go forward, we're gonna grab another pickup as well as another key. There's another bomb arrow strat there. And we're actually gonna load and then warp back because I think that's fastest in my opinion, or at least for me. My movement's not as perfect. And that way you're already here and you know where you're going, don't get lost. Lost my fitting, it's okay. Another tile room sequence. You really don't have, like, you don't really have to slash the tiles, I don't think. It might be a little faster, but I don't know how much faster it is. Oh. This part right here, it's kind of just like in chess or checkers. You just have to line up, throw the white horse on the white block, the black horse on the black block. So in this room, the rabbits you can actually get rid of using Marin's song. They just vanish. That's the fastest way to get rid of them. More Dodongos. And every fourth movement, I think, is when they start eating again. They'll shake their head at it, but if they don't change direction or if their direction is forward, they'll still eat it. So we're on our way to get the boss key, and the only way to get the boss key is if you had the hook shot. So if you somehow got into this dungeon without doing Dungeon 5, you couldn't get the boss key for this. So now we're on our way to the boss. Kind of have to go the same direction where we just were. In the second tile room. Oh, bonk. So using the black hole thing to our advantage. My favorite strats is just stunning that little guy and moving on with it. So this particular boss is a little tricky. This is, you pretty much have to shoot bombs or place bombs on top of the face. His name is Facade, I think, in the English version. A little cumbersome, but one of the more challenging bosses in my opinion. Oh, diagonals are hard. You also have to be careful of your arrow count, obviously, because you're gonna need arrows for later on. Alright, almost dying. Okay, we lived. Lived to see another day. And our next instrument is the coral triangle. So right after this, we need to go pick up our next song. And then we get to go grab a buddy. Before we can head back to Talltale Mountain. We're gonna mambo back over next to the village. We have to do... it's sort of like a maze of sorts. And the only way we can get there is with the hookshot, so you couldn't do this area without it. So pretty much it says go this way, go that way, go whatever way. And you have to make sure you look at the signs in a certain order. If for any reason you look at a different one, you have to start all over again. So we're almost done. This is also the reason why we picked up the 300 rupees back in Dungeon 3 for this specific song. The song will help us on 2 separate occasions that we will absolutely need it. So it's not optional. And this is the next cameo. This is Wart, the Frog King from Super Mario Bros. 2. So now we have the frog song. And now as my splits suggest, we're going to go grab our rooster. From this rooster shrine that Marin was hanging out at earlier. Gonna resurrect our little rooster friend. And now we're gonna head up to grab the bird key. The bird key opens Dungeon 7. Don't forget the rooster when you're looking for the bird key. Maybe from experience. If you forget the rooster, you cannot get the bird key. So basically we're going back to the spot that we dropped at for Dungeon 4, but now that we have the flippers, we can swim across the water on top of it to get to not only the bird key cave, but as well as Dungeon 7. It's actually just easier to jump. If you jump and hold to the right, you can skew a little bit. The only reason why you need the rooster is this part right here. There's really no way around it other than flying with the chicken. Or the rooster, sorry. Now we got the bird key. So we're going to Dungeon 7. Dungeon 7 is also split into 2 parts as well. We grab everything including the boss key, and then all we have to do is go back and defeat the final boss. And the reason for that is, again, another cutscene skip with Marin on the bridge in the mountains. If you completely finish Dungeon 7 and you need to go back up to the mountain, you have that whole cutscene. That's pretty much how we skip it, is by separating out the dungeons and then mamboing out to a location where those kind of quests or cutscenes don't happen. We're also going to open this warp point when we get there down there. And I'm gonna open Dungeon 7. So pretty much, for Dungeon 7, there are 4 pillars that we have to knock down in order for the dungeon to drop down a few levels. So that's basically what we're gonna do. And the reason why we also have to do Dungeon 7 before 8 is that we get a shield upgrade that allows fire to be reflected off of it. So resetting the room here just by walking in and out of it so we don't have to pull the lever saves a good bit of time. I'm gonna jump across this whole thing we go. So basically what I did there was I flipped the switch for a little bit later. And also when I drop right here. So I'm pretty much setting this up for the next pillar drop. So I can go in more of a sequential, nice, neat, orderly fashion. Another tile room. Oh, this room I basically just stand in the corner and slash at it. I don't really see the use of going and slashing the tiles. Other than getting hit by the anti-fairy isn't great. But there's a bombable wall right here that we will use later. But for now we're just going to get this other pillar. And then the previous pillar in the next room. Because we are gonna have to throw the ball over the ledge over here to get that last 4th pillar that's sort of hidden. Damage boost. Damage not boost. So here is our shield that I was talking about. We gotta flip that switch in order to get to the other side of this. And we're also going to grab the boss key with and defeat the mini boss here. Probably the easiest mini boss in any game ever. And that's it. Now we have the opportunity to just come back and solely finish the dungeon just by defeating the boss, which is nice. These guys, all you have to do is match the shape. If you mess up for any reason, just leave the room and go back. You can just reset the room, basically. Big toss. And we're just gonna skip this. Not necessary. Oh. So we're gonna go through the blown hole in the wall that I made earlier. For that pillar right there. This is another dungeon that you need the hookshot in, so you won't be able to complete this without the hookshot. Just for that one... Oh, excuse me. Just for that one thing right there. So now we are going to load out of the dungeon. We are going to complete Dungeon 8 and then come back here, like I said, just so we can skip that cutscene with Marin, save us a little time. Hookshot in across. And now we get to avoid boulders, everyone's favorite thing. Oh wow, okay. That actually wasn't that bad. Oh. Belong to the bonk. Oh, I definitely think I missed. Yep, I missed. But for saving time and arrows, just gonna put down a bomb. So we're gonna put our shield up that we got and go through that fire, and that's literally the only time we actually need that shield. I'm actually gonna grab that piece of power. So I'm gonna get rid of these murder dactyls, as they're affectionately called. Play the frog song to wake up Turtle Rock, basically. it didn't equip. Jump. You do have to be somewhat careful with this boss. You could also jump and slash him. You can approach him and slash him as well, but obviously if you touch him at all, it's not great. A little bit of a quicker battle there because I had a piece of power, so that was nice. This dungeon has another different game mechanic in the use of Roombas, affectionately called the Roomba boss. Just have to move it with your analog stick. If you let go of it or you press one direction for too long, it'll stop. And you have to go in and out of the room to reset it, and it's a pain in the butt. We got it first try on that one. And you have to do certain parts of this in a certain order. I mean, I guess as per tradition for most dungeons. Gonna bomb through a couple walls here. Really nice to have bomb arrows. Oh. And we're wasting arrows again. Oh well. Oh, I guess that's another way you use that shield. It's just to divert those little laser beams. We're gonna pick up one more arrow pickup back here. Oh. And this is the first mini-boss of this dungeon. You can get a quick kill here. Basically just like that. Don't slash, like don't mash the slash at all. You kind of have to do it in more of a cadence, or else the mini-boss will just turn around. It's not gonna work. So we're gonna go to the left side. This demon looking dude. Just some powder. That's it. Another Roomba. Extra tile, but that's fine. Alright, so now we have the magic rod, which is our dungeon item. We get to melt some ice, which is always fun. And now for the next mini boss, I'm going to use a couple arrows. There is a quick kill with some arrows, but if we don't get it, we'll switch over to our sword slashes. Nope, we're about too short. Oh. No, another Roomba boss, first try. And now we're gonna be grabbing this nightmare key and heading over to the final boss of this dungeon. Did it a little wrong, but it's alright. More ice. For this next boss, you basically just use the magic rod, and you have to get through some of his casings as well as the lava that's coating him. And you also can't mash the magic rod. You have to wait till, I think it's like 3 or 4 strikes go off the screen. So mashing doesn't really help a whole lot. As I mashed right there. Alright, so this is the final phase. I think I'm just gonna go to the... No, we're fine. And this boss actually tells us that if we destroy everything, all of this is gonna go away. And they keep alluding to the fact that this is a dream. Hence the title Link's Awakening, I guess. And we get our thunder drum. But we're not done yet. We have 2 dungeons to finish, and then we are off the nightmare. So we're just gonna mamba over to Dungeon 7 first, and then we're gonna go do Dungeon 4 after that. So this boss is a little difficult. There is some RNG involved. So you could get really unlucky with it. or you could get really lucky with it. It just depends. He has an attack that you really can't thwart other than just shield blocking it and slashing it, but you have to kind of wait till it subsides. This is the evil eagle. Pain in the butt. So you can use arrows for this. That's probably the faster strat to do that. Oh, you fell. If you fall, it's okay. Just get back up. You can use arrows as a faster strat to hitting him when he's in the air. But I don't want to use my arrows right now because I want to save them for the final boss. It takes a good amount of hits. Probably gonna lose some time here, but that's okay. We're gonna grab this heart, grab our organ. And we're on our way to the last dungeon, which is actually the second part of Dungeon 4. Oh, one really fun thing about this is literally you just drop down here and swim over to Dungeon 4. It's really nice, you don't have to mambo anywhere. We are going to do a little bit of a strat. It's kind of the same concept of what we did with the second dungeon right before we got to the genie. Is we kind of sort of run towards the platform and hold the direction of the platform we want to jump on. But in order to do this, I believe you have to get rid of the pots, so we're going to do that. So even if you fall here, it still works. You just pretty much have to touch the platform on the other side. But there's also, you can also actually jump on top of it. So this is our last dungeon boss before going to the final battle. A bunch of spin slashes. And off to get the final instrument. And the thing to note, right after this we have to immediately mambo out. We can't walk past a certain point on the map, or else, again, that ghost is gonna show up, and then the run's pretty much dead. So we're gonna head over to the giant egg and play the Song of the Windfish, aka Marion Song. So enjoy the music. So this is also when we start using our egg manipulation egg path, as it were. So since we got seed 24 from the D4 tile solution, it's right 4 times, up, and left twice, and then up. And again, if you want to see the different seeds and what you could possibly get and how to get it, just head over to Link's Awakening Discord. And there's a really extensive file that tells you how to do things. So there's multiple stages to the boss fight, as per tradition for Zelda games. This first part's pretty easy. All we have to do is throw powder at it. Oh, and before we enter the egg, I'm pretty sure the owl tells us that he is, in fact, the spirit of the windfish. So this second part kind of reminds me of Aga, or Aghanim from Link to the Past. So the average blue ball's probably 3 or 4 times. You could also jump slash and you would still avoid the blue balls. But right now I'm just gonna go for it. Because sometimes you can miss a jump slash. Now we're doing like a mini Moldorm or Trolldorm kind of thing. If you just slash the back of him right here before he extends, you don't have to chase him around. So this part is a little tricky. It's Ganon for the most part. But if you're able to get past his shield there, or his staff that he's twirling around, it's pretty easy. So just triple slashes there. So this final part, I probably won't have enough arrows for this. You can use arrows or faster, but you could also use the magic rod. I believe in the original game it was just the magic rod, but you can use arrows in this as well. But you could shoot 2 arrows at a time, so don't waste your arrows by trying to do more. It's just pretty much a 2-hitter. Let's get switch over. Alright, only had to use magic rod once. And as soon as we cross the bridge, that will be time. And so yeah, now we get to go see the windfish. The windfish confirms that basically everything's a dream. Or, sorry, the windfish. The windfish's spirit, which is the owl, tells us what it is, and then we get to go on our way home. But thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to let this play out for the ending credits. If you want to watch it, that's awesome. It's really good music. We end up on just like a raft floating back in the sea. There is a bonus ending. If you don't die in the whole game, there's a bonus ending. It's just slightly different. It's not super big, but you can look that up if you want. I won't put a spoiler in here for you. But again, my name has been AirAngel. Twitch.tv/AirAngel, or I'm also on Twitter, AirAngel_TV. I'm also on the Discord. I really do appreciate your time in watching my video for this marathon submission. This is, again, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake on the Switch that came out in 2019, Glitchless. Another reason why I really like Glitchless as well is because you can see more of the dungeons and you get to hang out with Marin more, and I don't know, I'm just more of a Glitchless runner. It's just my opinion. It's also a lot more safe for marathons, I think, because the glitches in any percent are pretty extensive, so if you mess it up, it's obviously a huge time loss. So it's a lot easier to calculate around what time you can get. More so, I think, in my opinion, but that, again, that's just me. But have a happy time zone and a great day. Enjoy the credits and the music.